Oh, let me introduce myself because I think I might save this video and upload it on YouTube in the Single Women of Purpose category playlist. I am Cheryl Howard, inspiration and transformational strategist. I am the owner of Get Your Life Back Inspirational Life Coaching, and I am a certified life purpose coach and a mental health professional and a pastoral counselor. And I'm known as the preacher teacher because that's what's in me. And it comes out of me. And I am also clergy as well. So I know when I talk and I deliver, sometimes the passion behind it, the preaching comes out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just a preacher teacher. That's who I am. No apologies. That's who I am. So anyway, that is me. I titled the video, Never Settle for Mr. Does Not Fit the Vision, or Doesn't Fit the Vision, or Doesn't Fit, period. And so I really come on here to chat with you ladies and kind of vent a little bit. In our singleness sometime, I don't know about you guys. I'm assuming that you might have encountered or met some men during your singleness and maybe if you guys are still single, evidently it didn't work out for whatever reasons. So in my recent encounters, I say over the last year or so, I've met a few men, mostly on social media, pop in, introduce themselves, talk. Sometime if it seemed like it might be a great interaction, we may exchange numbers and call and talk. What I have realized, this is why I'm going to have the Single Women of Purpose tour, and I'm starting the first one next spring just to give myself more time and try to get some sponsors and things like that to get it going. I was on a phone call today about my live event. However, one of the things that I wanted to discuss, it's a lot about preparing yourself to be in a position for opportunities for Mr. Future Husband if you desire to get married again, doing the work on yourself, understanding who you are, identifying your purpose, your passion, just learning about you too, personal, emotionally, psychologically, learning. That's the wonderful thing about being single, right? You get to really learn a lot about yourself, especially if you've been in a relationship or married for a long time. And not saying that you lost your identity, because that's not everybody's case. But when you come out of it, and we go through transitions, we get older. Things that mattered to us when we were younger may not matter to us now. And so we change as well to some degree. And so you understand more about yourself, what your needs are, what you can tolerate, what you can't tolerate. You understand more about your triggers, what makes you function well, and all of that stuff. So then you're more prepared I'm more prepared and ready to meet that future mate. And you know what you're looking for because you know yourself. So now you pick better. You're wiser, you're older, you're smarter. You don't want to make the same mistakes. Now, if you see a red flag, you know what the red flag, you know to pay attention to the red flags. I say that because a lot of women said they saw the red flags, but they still ignored the red flags and they just overlooked them, not thinking it was a big thing. But now we understand, pay attention to the red flags because you never know. That's an indicator or maybe a symptom of something. Good example, meeting a man who has short temper, easily angered, not good at coping. When you're dealing with confrontation, when you're having a communication and a disagreement and maybe a debate or even an argument, and you realize they get angry really fast. They go from 0 to 100, look like they want to knock something or they leave the room. That could be a sign that he's an abuser. That will be the next level. And a lot of times we overlook that because there are people who are short temper, but they would never put their hand on someone. But I don't have time to take chances like that. So if I see that type of behavior, Cheryl is out. I'm out. I'm bouncing. I don't have time. I didn't wait this long to get with somebody who is not good at managing their emotions. Look, especially me, that's what I teach my clients. In mental health counseling and in trauma-focused coaching, a lot of times I focus on those type of behaviors and anger management. And I teach my clients coping interventions, coping skills, learning how to deal with opposition, low emotions, stress, how to manage your emotions in the midst of those situations so you won't, get such a strain of anxiety and overwhelmness where you feel stuck and you can't move on or you can't communicate because you're so stressed out. And so that's why I do a lot of teaching about the brain and trauma and how it affects the brain and how the brain goes offline when you get so stressed out and so angry. And that's why the other person, you're not able to communicate with that person when they're at that level because your brain go offline. You can't hear anything at that point, or the person is really in their feelings. And you can't really resolve anything when it's at that degree. But when you with somebody who is not able to manage their emotions and they easily angered, what kind of relationship is that? How are you going to learn to agree to disagree or resolve issues and come together and work things through and talk things out and listen to each other's side? And oh my God, it goes on and on. So that's not a healthy relationship. You want effective communication in your relationship. So if I see signs of that, I'm like, I'm out. God bless you. It was nice knowing you. So the reason why I said my title is what it is because I reflected on, like I said, some of the recent men that I have encountered and talked to, and I know who I am. I know that I am mentally stimulated. I am attracted to men who are intelligent, and they stimulate me mentally because I'm in my head a lot. Number one, I'm a counselor, so that means sometimes I can become analytical when I need to be. I want to examine things. I want to study things. I want to know the why, and I'm watching the how and all of that with my clients and people around me. So if I meet a man, which I have in the past, and if it feels like I have to go into teaching mode all the time, I'm going to give an example of that as well, something that happened recently. You don't mentally stimulate me. There are large amounts of quietness on the phone because you're not talking. You don't have a lot of feedback. If I even bring up a topic and all you have to say is, well, I got to get back to you on that. I really don't have any comment on that right now. If that's always your answer, you lost me. You have lost me in the middle of the conversation. Now my brain is offline because that's how I am. It's like I like deep conversations. I'm not saying all the time, but if you're not able to give me feedback, if you have no depth in you, see, you got to understand, I have a lot of positive men in my life, from family members, pastors, brothers in Christ, single and married, because I'm friends with them, their whole family. But just people in church and people that are friends to me and males. I'm around a lot of men who are confident and who are intelligent and intellectual, and they're teachers and they're leaders. I'm used to being around those type of men, and I like those type of men. So if you're not able to keep me stimulated intellectually, you will easily lose me. That's how I am. And you have to know who you are, right? And what attracts you, what stimulates you, what keeps your interest. And so definitely one man I've talked to on the phone, he definitely my interest. It seemed like I had to pull for straws. I had to pull information because he wasn't saying anything. And I'm not the type to want to talk all the time and dominate the conversation. But if it's just quiet and you're not saying anything, yeah, I'm good. And you saying you're interested in me, you really like me, you like talking with me. And I'm like, why? Unfortunately, I didn't feel the same thing. And so that was one situation. So, we only talk about 2 times. So you can imagine we never talked again. Some kind of way, I guess he picked it up that I just wasn't interested because he didn't keep my interest at all. But there was nothing there. It was quiet. It was silence. This is not the time to practice being silent. I do that with my clients, teaching them how to take moments out to just be quiet and think, to calm the brain down when you have overwhelming and intrusive thoughts. But this wasn't the time to do that. Another encounter I had is when I was talking with a man, and just simple things that I brought up, I felt like I always had to explain what they mean. So here my mind goes, all right, you're losing me, brother. These are things I'm thinking knowing at this age. At age 50, I think you should know some things. Simple stuff. Nothing to do with what I do, because I know we can't compare someone's intellect with your intellect in a certain area, like in the area of human services and mental health and all that stuff. I'm not expecting you to know a lot of things about that, but I'm talking about simple things in life, understanding. And he couldn't really understand things. I feel like I always had to explain. One thing he said really thing like that. So that's a good thing too. But anyway, it's just, it's just an interesting journey, being single and meeting people, meeting men. And you get to learn a lot about yourself again. And you get to learn a lot about the individual. So I just wanted to share that. But do not settle for, and I put who doesn't fit, because it shouldn't take a whole lot of work where you're feeling stressed and you're constantly clashing. And I had another experience like that. It was like, oh my God, why it seem like we in a verbal battle or a verbal fight? And I realized at that point, this not going to work. Because first of all, I don't like those type of confrontations. I'm not an argumentative person. So when I meet an argumentative person, I'm turned off automatically. You're going to have arguments. You're going to have conflicts in relationship. But if it's a constant, to me, I interpret it as dysfunction. Look, like I said, I'm helping other folks working constant conflict out, conflictual relationships, as opposed to functional and healthy relationships, where in healthy relationships, you will have conflict, you will have arguments, you will have debates, you will even have some misunderstandings. But what's important to me is how you respond to those things, to those situations. And if your response is negative and dismissive and you devaluing and you're denigrating and you're negative, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't. So you really don't fit. You don't fit who I am. We don't complement each other. We don't supplement each other, And so I just want you guys just to make sure, if you haven't already, when you meet someone, take all that into consideration and do not settle. Because I'm not about to get into a relationship that's going to have me stressed out, no peace, and on the edge. I'm just not. I have a mindset that I pursue after peace above all things. And that's what I want. And I want somebody who has this in the same pursuit. And I know I would need to be somebody who's not divisive, who seeks to communicate well. That is a goal for him. Who is empathic, likes to get an understanding of people before they make a judgment, before they come up with an assumption or a conclusion. That's important to me. So anyway, I just wanted to share those little things. And hey, leave your comments under this post. I got to chat a little bit and vent a little bit. It was just really interesting. I said, I'm going to go live in this Single Woman of Purpose group, because this is some things we're going to be talking about. Hey, Jen, I'm about to go off, sis. Definitely catch the replay. I was just talking about some of the experiences I had with men, and you realize that they're not for you. You're not a good match, because when you get older, you change to some degree. You understand who you are. You understand who you can tolerate. You know more about yourself, your identity, your personality. And your communication style, your love language. And so now we have more wisdom. Now we can see the red flags even easier, even quicker. When you meet that man, you can tell. It doesn't take long to tell, nah, this not going to work. This not going to work. It doesn't take me long. It shouldn't take any of us long. And in a couple of hours, sometimes you can tell, in a couple of days, a couple of weeks. But if it's constant conflict, if you guys always missing each other, if you're constantly clashing, and I was explaining how I am, I'm in a mental health field, so I'm already part analytical to a degree. There's some depth that I have. I like to think about things. I like to get an understanding. And I think those are good qualities. And I've learned that not only scripturally, when the Bible says, and all you're getting, get an understanding. But, now I'm even trained I'm trained to listen to people and to hear people, to understand their point of view, where they're coming from, why they think the way they do. Understanding their history and their past. So even if they're saying something that may not make sense, or it is a little warped, I still understand why they think that way. So, saying all of that, we do the same thing when we meet people. So when I meet men, and I shared some interesting encounters I had with two men. I think I just spoke about two men who I met recently, and one of them I felt like I was always in a teaching mode. I'm always having to break down things, and I felt like, okay, I'm pulling. This is like work. It was just one conversation. It's like the maturity level wasn't there, and I explained how I am attracted to men who are intellectual, and for myself, I am stimulated intellectually. So if you don't hold my interest intellectually, you will quickly lose me. You will quickly lose me. If you have no depth to simple things and no feedback, comeback, you lost me. I'm gone. So I know that about myself. And most of the men in my lives, family members, brothers in Christ, pastors, leaders, I'm around a lot of men who are intellectual and they spiritually depth. So that's what I like. So if you don't hold my interest, Cheryl is going. I left. My brain went offline and you totally lost me. So it was one person I just met that way. And I'm like, wow. And I talked about somebody else who he had a poor communication skill. He didn't let me finish my sentences. It's like you dismiss the other person. It's like you devalue what they have to say. You devalue what I had to say. First of all, I asked him, I said, what did I say? And he said, you said every journey when you meet somebody, when you're dating, when you're getting to understand each other, when you're courting, you teach people, you learn about each other's communication styles, you learn each other's love languages, and I think that's so important. So I was letting him know, communication to me is very important. Not because I'm a perfect communicator, but that's one of the things that matters to me the most is that we learn how to communicate and get on one accord. Even if we disagree, we know how to get an understanding. We know how to have the same goal of resolving an issue and not just leaving it and become divisive and be at each other, because I am not an argumentative person. And so I know I don't need to be with an argumentative man. You're going to have conflicts. You're going to have arguments in relationships. Those things are going to happen. But to me, it's how you and I respond to those confrontations that we have. I talked about the red flags, but catch the replay, girl. I talked about the red flags. We older now. We can see the red flags. I can see you got little symptoms of maybe you might be abusive or something. You're older now, so you pay more attention to those things. I didn't wait 20-something years after my divorce to get in some dysfunctional relationship. I can't control what comes out after, but the stuff I see beforehand, red flag. And if all those red flags, if there's a lot of red flags and they all negative, it's just not going to work. Anyway, thanks, sis, for tuning in. I'm getting ready to get off here. This is just a little rant. I'm going to talk about this again, but in another way, because the next video I do like this live on the same discussion, I want to upload it on YouTube. So I'm going to have to find a creative way of talking about, but I just wanted to chat in the group with the girls. Anyway, you guys have a good evening. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. And I am going to come back and finally do those things that I mentioned in the survey. And the first one, you guys all came together and decided that you wanted me to talk about, overcoming barriers. So I'm definitely going to talk about that. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.